Come on and slam, and welcome to the jam. Go on and jam if you want to slam. Hello, and welcome to the next episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies. The podcast where Matt and Todd go see a movie at our local Regal cinema, and then we talk about it in the theater, and we record, or not in the theater, in the parking lot in Matt's Honda Pilot. There we go, back on track. And we give it to the masses, and hopefully it helps you decide whether or not you should see this movie, or maybe you should skip it. I am Todd Domer.
I'm Matt Malloy, and yes, we would never record in the theater. That would be a violation of federal laws. The FBI would come down on us hardcore, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So.
We might even already be on their radar, honestly, because we're pretty close to the building when we record.
That's true. They're probably monitoring the situation. They're monitoring this broadcast right now, which is why I'm giving a disclaimer.
Okay.
So,
good.
We should be safe, though
hoping.
Watched.
Here's hoping.
So yes, here we are again. We are talking about another movie, and today we saw Space Jam. I believe the title is Space Jam: A New Legacy.
I think so.
I think that's it. So this is.
Although our ticket said Space Jam 2.
Yeah, you can't go by the tickets though.
Oh, it's okay.
Tickets are sometimes a red herring. I've found.
Jeez.
In my extensive study of tickets. So we saw Space Jam 2, if you wish, or Space Jam: A New Legacy. And it stars LeBron James. And this is very much in the same realm as the first Space Jam movie, which was, 20 plus years ago?
Didn't they say 24 years ago?
Something like that, yeah.
It's referenced in the movie?
Gotcha. Yeah, and that one starred Michael Jordan. So who's in this?
The superior basketball player, Michael Jordan. Ooh, pressing buttons, hot take.
Yeah, sick burn. Take that, LeBron James.
Yeah.
Known listener of our podcast. So, obviously, Obviously, LeBron James is in this. And then, so I think Zendaya is in this as Lola Rabbit's Lola Bunny.
Yes.
Voice. Are there any other famous people in this movie?
Well, Don Cheadle.
Well, yes. Sorry. Thank you. Don Cheadle plays the big bad in this movie.
Yes. I believe one of the basketball announcer guys is an actual basketball announcer guy, but
right.
I don't watch or really care about basketball. So.
Gotcha.
And then
the entire Goon Squad team is made up of actual basketball players as well.
Yes, much like the first movie.
Right.
And the woman who plays LeBron's wife is in some stuff. I cannot pronounce her name. I'm just going to butcher it. So if you are curious about it, you should look it up yourself. But she was in the Walking Dead show. She's in Star Trek Discovery. She's been in some stuff. I wouldn't say she's famous, but she's been around.
All right. Fair enough.
And then, I don't know, the second announcer guy, his name is Lil Rowie or something like that. He's a comedian who's done some movies. He did the movie where all the NBA players just play old dudes. Uncle Drew, I think it was called.
Oh, yes.
So,
good movie.
That's about it.
Good movie, Todd. That's my hot take.
Oof. Okay. Hot take.
Uncle Drew is a good movie.
We're all about hot takes here.
Yes. Pushing buttons. All right. So there's your star lineup. The
star lineup. I like what you did there.
Yeah. What is this movie about, Space Jam: A New Legacy? Well, it's really about a relationship between LeBron James and his son. Not his actual son, by the way. An actor playing his actual son. One of his actual sons.
Yeah. LeBron was the only actual James in this movie.
Correct. Yes. I can confirm that based on watching the credits.
Yes.
So his son is really into making working on making this video game and not into basketball, and so they have some conflict about that. And then they go to Warner Brothers to get a pitch for like LeBron James being copied into various Warner Brother
like digitized
films.
or something.
Yeah.
I was a little confused on what the actual pitch of that was.
It didn't really make a lot of sense,
No.
actually.
Yeah.
So, and what we find out there is there's this algorithm, and the algorithm is called algorithm, and that is Don Cheadle's character.
Yes.
And so he kind of lives inside the computer, inside these server. They call it the Warner Brothers serververse is what they call it. So it's like this big bank of computers, and inside it's like a digital world. In fact, there's many digital worlds, all representing Warner Brothers products, such as Harry Potter world, such as Wizard of Oz world, such as
Game of Thrones world.
right, and
DC comic world.
yep, and Toon World, so Looney Tunes
Yes.
world. So all that exists in this serververse area, and while they're at Warner Brothers, LeBron's son says, "I'm not going to basketball camp. I want to go to video game designer camp." And so he kind of leaves the room and starts wandering around, and he and LeBron get sucked into the serververse. And so then,
By Don Cheadle.
right,
On purpose.
right,
Yeah.
on purpose.
Not a happy accident.
Yeah, it's not an accident. It's on purpose. So they're in there, and then Don Cheadle makes LeBron's son sort of disappear and makes LeBron agree to play a basketball game against his characters, and to get his son back. And in the meantime, so then LeBron James gets thrown down into Looney Tune world and has to find a basketball team, and it's the same basketball team as was in the first Space Jam movie.
Yeah, the Toon Squad.
Right. And meanwhile, Don Cheadle is befriending LeBron's son and like saying, "This video game you made is awesome. It's a basketball video game," and so that's sort of what the game they end up playing is based on this video game that's made by the son. So both teams kind of get built, the Goon Squad and the Toon Squad, and everything culminates in this big game between the two, and life lessons are learned, and relationships are worked on, and one team wins and one team loses.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the movie in a nutshell. Everyone learns important lessons, which are quite obvious as you watch it, but
lots of very obvious lessons right in front of you learned.
yes. So Todd, have you seen the original Space Jam? My assumption is yes.
Yes.
But, okay.
Yeah.
But I haven't.
Oh, okay.
So I'm coming in with fresh eyes in that way. And what are your thoughts on this movie?
Well, I'm going to start with a blanket statement, and then I'm just going to walk around it and maybe go on tangents. Pretty usual Todd stuff here.
Right on.
This is not a good movie. I don't think, in my opinion. And honestly, if you watch the first Space Jam, then you've seen this Space Jam. Just replace Michael Jordan with LeBron and updated graphics and stuff like that. A lot more CGI and some Toon stuff, but a lot more CGI. However, though, that being a blanket statement, there's about 25 to 30 minutes of pure genius in this movie, I think, that is so kind of just thrown in there and then never really talked about, but it's so good. And it took all my intention was working towards this during the movie. I was like, I was in a who cares mode, except for I was trying to look in the background to see who I could see. So there's these two parts in the movies that add up to probably about 30 minutes of the movie. And I think they were very funny. I thought they were very clever. And it's too bad that the rest of the movie was not as clever, in my opinion. So the first is when LeBron meets Bugs Bunny on Toon World. Bugs Bunny is the only person left on Toon World. The Don Cheadle's character coerced all the other Looney Tunes characters to basically go off world and expand their horizons or whatever. So there's a kind of like very typical, we got to get the crew back together kind of scene. And, you know, like LeBron wants to get a team of like Superman, Batman, the Iron Giant, King Kong, like just massive characters like that. And so they go to these worlds that those characters are represented, but Bugs' plan is to get his quote unquote family back. So it's like a montage of them pulling different Looney Tune characters out of existing properties that are there, like The Matrix and Mad Max Fury Road, which probably was my favorite.
Same.
Those were so amazing to me, like, and so hilarious that honestly, when they started to happen, and by the time I realized it was done, I just wanted the rest of the movie to be them finding different Looney Tune characters in different places that they shouldn't be. And then when they actually get together to play the basketball game, Don Cheadle characters basically brings the serververse to them to see all this kind of stuff. And it was an absolute joy to just look in the background to see if I could point out who was there. Like there was like Jack Nicholson Joker from Batman '89. There was like Adam West and Burt Ward. Like they're not like CG. It's like actual people dressed up. I mean, obviously it wasn't the actual people, but it was like actual people dressed up as his characters. My favorite was the Arnold Schwarzenegger in his robe from Batman and Robin, which you could see several times in the background, and it made me laugh every time I saw him. So
did you see Jim Carrey in
as
the mask?
Yes,
in his yellow suit.
So I was that was delightful to me, but also distracting to me. The back door to Matt's how'd the pilot just magically opened?
I stepped on the button.
Oh,
my apologies. I'm getting used to this car. This recording studio is new to me.
So that was amazing to me. Like, and honestly, it was so good and so enjoyable that's once we were back to the main story, I was done caring. Like, I was just like, this is where the magic was for me. So yeah, I mean, like, honestly, it's kind of the same story as the first one, except for it's more family heavy, I think. And honestly, the whole movie starts out on the wrong foot with me, where it's like a 5-minute montage of just how great LeBron James is, which was very self-serving in my opinion. Like, so of course the acting is not good. Like, LeBron is not an actor, and honestly, in a movie where he's dealing with CGI and all that kind of stuff, he has to carry the movie. And you know, sometimes he does okay, but I think on a whole it was like very dry. He's obviously not an actor. Same thing could be said about Michael Jordan. Like, they're very interchangeable at this point when it comes to acting. Yeah, honestly, I just was like, it's so similar to the first one, but it also, like, what made it special got kind of put on the back burner, like, to bring forth this story that's already basically been done. All the original stuff that made me happy and giggle and stuff like that was basically over as soon as it started. So, it's hard for me to say that half hour is totally worth it for you to see this movie in theaters. Like, maybe it's worth it for you to stream it on HBO Max, which I assume is going to drop pretty soon after coming out. So, I don't know. If you absolutely love the first movie, then this probably is a movie for you. Like, if you absolutely love LeBron James, then this is probably a movie for you. if you are really into movies and you like a good movie, I don't know if this is for you. If you've got kids of the appropriate age, this is definitely a movie for you. It's very kid friendly, very kid heavy. So that's pretty much where I'm at. I'm honestly leaving very disappointed because that half hour built me up so much and it made me so happy and was very entertaining to me, and it just made me it made me want more, and you didn't get much more. So that's me. Matt has never seen the first movie. What'd you think about this whole Space Jam?
Space Jam, A New Legacy. Well, I think kind of one of the key lines for me in describing this movie happened actually in the movie.
Okay.
So the LeBron James goes with his, like, I don't know, his brother-in-law, his uncle.
They never explained Malik,
his agent.
Yeah. Who knows?
So someone and his son, and they go to this meeting and hear this pitch to, like, digitize LeBron James and put him into things, and then LeBron rejects this idea, and the quote that he makes is, I am a ball player. I'm not an actor.
Yeah.
And things go, like, he belabors the point. He says things go bad whenever athletes are acting in movies.
Yeah.
And, you know, kind of ironic because he's there acting in a movie. But yeah, he is not an actor, and you know, doesn't do a great job of acting, which I guess is to be expected. But so yeah, I think that's sort of the key point is, and you said this, Todd, that he's got to carry the movie, and he doesn't really do that. So that being said, I did the Mad Max Fury Road.
Yes.
Where they go and recruit Wile E. Coyote, and if you've seen that movie, it's a scene straight out of the movie, and Wile E. Coyote pops up and sprays chrome in his face, and then gets recruited to be on the team.
Oh, the best was him holding up the sign that said "Witness me" because he doesn't speak.
Yes.
So he holds up the sign that say "Witness me."
Yes.
If you've seen Mad Max Fury Road, you will thoroughly enjoy that
little
30
seconds of this movie. But yeah, there's some other funny stuff that happens with regard to those. There's a little. Well, I'm not going to reveal it because it's too much of a spoiler. But there's a key moment that happens at halftime of the game, and if you see the movie, you'll pick it out. The other thing that I will say in the positive category for this, they do a nice job of roasting LeBron James's actual basketball experience. Like the fact that he's been on multiple teams and the fact that, you know, various things like that. If you are a basketball fan, there's plenty in here for you to kind of catch as it's tossed around, and just different little nuggets that are dropped about basketball itself, and really about LeBron James playing in the NBA.
Yes.
So I think that's a good thing that they did. But overall, the story is, I get that it's for kids, but it's very simplistic. Like the messages are almost like below sitcom level of like, here is this message. It is good for you to not force your son to play basketball only. Here is another message. It is good for your son to be allowed to engage in things that they care about. Yeah. You know, like that level of messaging.
And I would say that's the biggest difference between the first movie and this movie, is that this movie is very much like you just said, those life lessons or whatever. The first movie is that the Toons are in trouble and have to play a basketball game, and they come basically kidnap Michael Jordan and bring him to the Toon world.
Gotcha.
So there's not so much of a... And it's like, you know, it was just like this one. It's like a funny kind of circumstance. It's right after Michael Jordan stopped playing basketball and started to play baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so it was like, haha, I'm a baseball player now. I don't even play basketball or whatever. So, and I think that's what this one's, in my opinion, this one, can I say this confidently? It has been a while since I've seen this first one. This one is so much more kid. Like, obviously the first one has Looney Tunes, it's got Michael Jordan, kids, or, but this one is like, I don't want to say completely dumbed down, but it is like you're saying, it's like the standards were dropped. Like, and instead of like, hey, maybe this movie should be for like 10, 11, 12-year-olds, maybe like, LeBron Nation kids or whatever. It was like, let's make this for 4, 5, or 6-year-olds.
Yeah.
With like some funny stuff here and there thrown in for, I guess, the adults.
Right. Yep.
So.
I agree with your blanket statement. This isn't a good movie. And I think the groups of people who would enjoy this are people with little kids who are old enough to know who Looney Tunes are will like this movie. If they're old enough to know who LeBron James is, but still young, they will like this movie. Yes, LeBron James fans will like this movie. Basketball fans might like this movie. But those are if you're outside of those segments, I don't think you'll enjoy this movie.
Yeah.
Is what I'm going to say.
Fair.
So, that's
fair.
That's what I'll say about it.
Definitely fair. All right. Well, how many... It's the only thing I can think of right now. How many witness me signs would you give this movie? Obviously 0 being bad because you're not being witnessed at all.
Right.
And then 5 being the best because you're witnessed the most.
Correct. Yes, I agree
as you
with
ride
that.
to Valhalla.
Yeah. So I'm going to say that I've already said this wasn't a good movie. But I think one thing, there was a couple times where I did laugh out loud in this movie.
Yes.
or cheer or something. I made audible noises based on what was happening. There's one cameo scene that is that I've already referenced once and was worth my time, and the Mad Max Fury Road Wile E. Coyote recruitment scene. Those two are going to boost the score a little bit by themselves.
Yes.
But it's still not going to be a good score.
Yeah.
So we're going to end up with, I'm going to say 1.8 witness me signs. So not a good score, a below average movie, but it could have been worse for sure.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that's where I go. Where go you?
We are not too far off, honestly. So I'm at like a 1.5, and obviously it's for me it's that high because of like all the background stuff. Like at some point someone's gonna put a list together of all the characters in the background, and I'm gonna have a good time reading that list.
Yes.
I'll probably have a better time than I had of actually watching the movie, reading that list.
Right.
So, but yeah, I mean, like, I'll be honest, like you, I did laugh out loud several times. Like,
right.
And honestly, it was, some of them were shock value, and then some of them were just downright earned by being very funny.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't want to completely toss that away, but at the same time, it's like, when it comes to acting, and honestly, when it comes to, like, movies where it's like you're, mingling live action, CG, tune, it's just like when that kind of stuff happens, like it's almost like they didn't learn their lesson from the first movie. Like I feel like everyone was like, well, this was a novelty and fun, but Michael Jordan is not a good, like he couldn't carry the movie. They, but they're like, okay, let's do it with LeBron. He could probably carry the movie. No, you haven't learned your lesson. So I'm at 1.5. Honestly, if someone makes a YouTube video sooner than later of just the scenes that we've talked about, just watch that. You're good to go. Like that's all you're gonna laugh at that, and then you're good. So that's where I'm at.
Okay. Well, that's going to wrap up this episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies, where we review Space Jam: A New Legacy. And we gave it an average rating of 1.65 witness me signs out of 5. That's not good. And I think we're both saying that unless you're a particular fan of some part of this movie that's actually in it, then you can probably skip this one altogether. Well, if you have the option to stream it and you want to watch it, go for it. But not great. So
this might be one of the most informative reviews I think we've given, in the sense of like, I think someone could listen to this and go, you know what? Now I'm going to see that, or you know what? Now I'm not going to see that. I don't necessarily feel that way every time we do a podcast, but basically I'm patting ourselves on the back right now.
Yeah.
So
solid.
It's all for you, our adoring fans.
Yes. Well, so enjoy this informative. We hope that you've enjoyed this informative podcast, and you can form your own opinion now about Space Jam. And thanks for listening to our podcast. Please keep listening. We'll keep making, and we'll see you next time.
Da 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 da
Da da
da da da.
da da da.